What's up, world? How you guys doing? This is Argustic Dunbar, the hybrid entrepreneur. I'm coming to you guys today with my guy Carlos Harleaux. Carlos, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Argustic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we had the opportunity to sit down and do this, man. I saw your website, and I just love all the branding and everything. Right?
Oh, thank you.
And then we both have YouTube channels, so I'm excited about that. I think you're the first person that I've been able to sit with who's like already on the same platform and everything.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Okay.
So just so you guys know a little bit about Carlos. Author of 9 books, 7 are already published. Are they self-published?
Yes and no. I've self-published my first book, and then a couple years after that, right before I released my second book, I started my own publishing company. So I publish everything through there, but I have a team of like graphic designers, editors, photographers, people to do headshots, things like that. So I publish all my books through there.
So you dropped your first book 7 years ago, and you've pretty much been writing a book a year, I think is what you told me, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
And speaking of corporate Fortune 500 companies, launched 2 successful Kickstarter campaigns. So you're not like a rookie entrepreneur. You've been in the game for a little bit, and you've seen some success. So I'm super excited about that. So
thank you.
Can you tell the people kind of like how you got started in entrepreneurship? Or, actually, what were you doing before you became an author? What was life like before that?
Well, I've always loved poetry, and I started working in corporate America pretty much right after college. Was first working at Countrywide and then started working at Frito-Lay right after that. So as I was working at Frito-Lay, I had all of these poems that I had stacked up for a few years. I had like 300 poems. It was really a therapeutic release for me just to get rid of stress. And after I stacked up so many poems, I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna stop making excuses and actually put a poetry book out. Maybe people that are going through some of these same things, and maybe it could help them out, be an inspiration to them in some kind of way. So really, I did it for fun or more as a hobby in the beginning. Then it turned into me having many conversations with different authors, people that wanted to get their stories out. So that started my publishing company.
So what year did you start what year did your first book drop?
2011.
Okay, and then you started the publishing company in 2012.
Actually, beginning of 2013. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of how you got your start.
Exactly.
So were you at corporate kind of like, my job is just bleh, and I'm really passionate about this, or was it like I love my job and I also love being an author?
I think I was somewhere in between that. If I have to be honest, I can't say I hated my job, but I always knew, and even now I still know in the back of my head that I have to work to pay bills, and if I have to work, then the field that I'm in now is the most rewarding of what I really want to do. But at the same time, I really love being an entrepreneur. That's just my first passion, specifically with writing poetry and fiction novels.
Did you have any entrepreneurs in your family growing up initially, or like how did you start learning about it?
I did. Actually, my parents, they don't have it now. It just got to be so stressful that they eventually shut it down. But my parents at one point owned a restaurant for about 3 years or so. So I was like 11 years old, pretty much growing up in that, and working things, cooking food, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the business things I learned was from that early on. I was also in Future Business Leaders of America in high school and won a couple of state competitions. So I always just enjoyed entrepreneurship and just the whole, just being immersed in all of the details that you have to be in, and just being able to do something that you're really passionate about, besides just a 9 to 5.
I love it. So then tell us a little bit about the YouTube channel. Which came first? Was it the YouTube or the book?
Actually, the YouTube channel came first. I love music, so that's another part. If you go to my website, you'll see there's a lot of music blogs and things that I post. So I decided to do music commentary, which is primarily what my YouTube channel is. I'll promote my books on there sometimes too, but a lot of times I'm talking about like new CDs that came out, or maybe it's a new song or something that's trending in the music world. So I started with that, and then really just taught myself video editing, working with green screen eventually, things like that. So I enjoy that. That's really pretty much like a hobby. I like to do it. So every time I get a chance, I'll go ahead and make those videos. They haven't had as much time lately as I would have liked to work on it, but I still keep it pretty active.
I love it, because I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel. I just
cool. Wow.
And I Googled it for some reason. I'm like, man, he's got more YouTube views than I do. Right?
No.
So I should be on your channel, all right? So then let's talk about like maybe some mindset things, right?
Okay.
So like having the 9 to 5, right? And then I want to be an author. I need to publish this book. Can you tell me maybe some things you had to overcome, maybe some habits, some certain ways of thinking that didn't serve you in the beginning that you had to kind of get over, and how did you get over it? How did you realize?
Okay, that's a great question. Loaded question. Let me see how I can make this as short as possible. But I will say the biggest thing for me when I was working at my previous company, I had to get over this thought of being loyal to corporate America.
Oh wow.
Because
crazy.
Yeah, that's right. And when I say that, not so much the corporate America itself, but I found myself staying in positions longer than I should have been in, staying at companies longer than I should have, maybe not speaking up and promoting myself more, than I should have back then. And a lot of it was because, I really liked maybe the flexibility of the particular position that I was in. I really liked my boss. I loved the people that I was around. I knew that we were short-staffed, so I thought, oh, well, if I leave, then that's going to put the department in this type of scenario. And
so you were being sensitive to their business needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and really ignoring my own. Essentially, which is not a good thing to do. So I would say anybody that can learn that pretty quickly, that would be a really key thing, is to know that you have to be loyal to yourself first before you're loyal to a job, even though you are getting a paycheck. But you have to look at it as, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, this is just an avenue to get you where you want to go.
Correct. I love it.
Yeah.
One of my good mentors always says that the whole scheme behind corporate America is that they pay you just enough not to quit or to go anywhere else, and you do just enough not to get fired. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he was saying how he gets in trouble at work, and he's been there 2 years, and he told him, look, I'm not gonna change. You already know who I am, right? Because she was threatening to fire him, and he's like, look, if you're gonna fire me, just go ahead and do it, because you know what to expect from me. So, so do you have any specific instance or any specific story that you could kind of fill the listeners in on, like, hey, this is exactly what happened. Here's how I responded to it. Here's what I learned from it.
Okay, yes. One in particular, actually, this came right before my first book. And I think God always aligns opportunities for us that you just can't pass up if you really are serious about being an entrepreneur. A lot of times, I think, especially if it's your first time getting out there, you tend to come up with all these excuses. Oh, are people gonna like it? Am I gonna succeed? Am I gonna make money? Which, even though entrepreneurship, I do believe everybody's end goal is to make money, but if you're just getting into something as a side hustle just to make money,
there's no passion.
Yeah, exactly. So without the passion, there's nothing there. It's like pretty much dead. But I will say, for me, the thing that really was a turning point for me in entrepreneurship was I didn't have enough money to publish my first book. I had everything else ready to go. Long story short, my department. How
much does that cost? Like the money to publish? How much did it cost to publish your first book?
It cost me roughly about $1,500.
Okay.
Since then, I've been able to manage to do it a little bit cheaper. So I kind of bumped my head on a few things with that first book, but I would say roughly it was about $1,500.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And really, the thing that really helped me was my department was moving to North Carolina. We basically had two options. They said either you're going to pack up and move to North Carolina with no extra pay or no reload.
No nothing?
Yeah.
You're paying to relocate yourself.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Great deal.
The way they were selling it was like, oh, well, it's cheaper cost of living there, so it's almost like you're giving yourself a raise. But,
That's what
I digress.
It works?
Yes, pretty much. Yes, that's what they said.
Wow.
Yes. So it was either that option or you pretty much had 6 months to
leave all your friends and family.
Yes. And you just give yourself a raise.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So or either if you didn't do that, then you could stay with the company and hope that you would get a different position in the next 6 months, which is eventually what happened for me. Thankfully I wasn't laid off, but I got selected to be one of 3 trainers basically that was training the North Carolina team. Basically, I was training people to take my job eventually.
Wow.
Is what I was doing. But we got a nice bonus for doing that. So the bonus that I received was 4 times the amount that I needed to publish my book.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, this is it. I have no more excuses. And I felt like at that point, that was God's way of answering my prayers. And at that point, he just made it seamless for me to do it. So there were no more excuses. Like I said, money was probably my last one. And once I got that bonus, I was like, okay, I got to make it happen now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That is a blessing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about like fear for a little bit. What were some fears or some insecurities that you had in the beginning that you had to overcome? And how did that happen?
Okay. Well, I'll say for me, and a lot of people may have heard this before, but poetry is a really niche market, and it's honestly kind of a hard market because it's one of those things where you either kind of love it or you don't. And some people like spoken word, and then they try to lump it in, and they say, oh, so, because you do poetry, are you really deep and you do the snaps and all this stuff? Right, yeah, it may be, yes, there could be part of it, but that's not, the whole thing. So for me, my biggest fear, and honestly, to this day, it's still a fear, is that, are people gonna understand what I'm saying? Is it gonna make sense? Are people gonna like it? And eventually I just had to get to the point to where it's like, okay, this is a release for me, one, writing it, and then I'm sharing it with the world so that people can hopefully learn something and get something from it. But with anything you do, you can't get 100% of people to like it. And if that's your goal, then you're probably doing the wrong thing or doing it the wrong way, because you'll never get everyone to like what you're doing. So my best advice, or the thing that's really helped me overcome that fear, is just staying true to myself. I've been approached about writing about certain topics or writing certain things, and people will tell me, oh, this will really sell, and I just can't buy into that. Even if it did mean my book was gonna sell a lot. If it's not something I can't stand behind with integrity, then I won't put it out.
So then, as far as becoming an entrepreneur and an author, right? Do you now, or did you have anyone in the past that was mentoring you, kind of going through this process, or is it all just learning curves and bumping your head against the wall a couple times?
I wouldn't say necessarily mentor so much, even though I have had a few people along the way. But I would say the great thing that helped me, and in this instance, it was the same end result as what you would get from a mentor, is a great support system. My family was extremely supportive, had great friends around me that were supporting me. So I think the key thing is surrounding yourself with honest people. You don't want to surround yourself with yes people, people that are going to be honest with you, tell you, hey, that idea might not be hot. You might need to go back to the drawing board, but say it with love. There's a way to say it and not be negative about it. So I think that was the biggest thing for me.
Can you give me some maybe some feedback that you got from a family member that it's kind of funny, or you weren't expecting it?
Okay, again, I guess I have to go back to one of my first books, and this is funny because my mom and I always laugh about this. So everything is like gut feeling. So one of my best friends did the book cover for my second book, and it's called Hindsight 2020. So he gave me 7 or 8 totally different covers. And so, of course, you're going to value what your family says. So my mom did not like the cover that I chose. And it was to the point to where we kind of started arguing about it a little bit. And I was like, why are we arguing about this cover? But to this day, that is one of my best-selling books. And we laugh about it now because...
And you picked the one, you still went with the one that she didn't like?
Yes,
okay.
I did. And because I just had that gut feeling, I was like, no, this is the cover, and I think this is it. Just to give you a little bit of a background, a visual of how it looks. If you could picture kind of like walking down Bourbon Street, it's very colorful. It's basically like side of a building. There's like a little clown on the side there. So it's very catchy, but it is something when you look at it, you're kind of like, what is this? What does this mean? So yeah, I went with it, and it ended up being, like I said, one of my most successful books. And so my mom now,
What she got to say now?
yeah, she'll tell me, she'll say, hey, I don't like that cover or whatever, but she said, hey, I don't want to push you, because she's like, that might be one people really like. So,
Does your mom read all your books?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she definitely does.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, gotcha. Carlos, I think you've shared a lot of value with the people, man. So I want to wrap up soon. Can you please just like look in the camera and give these hopeful entrepreneurs, right? Someone who is like, maybe they're kind of like you, like they've had the idea for a long time, they've been procrastinating, putting it off, having excuses. Like maybe 1, 2, or 3 tips that you can look in the camera and give to them and say, hey, here are my ideas, my opinion that I would give to you, or maybe something you wish you had known when you got started into entrepreneurship or being an author, either or.
Okay, so a few things that I would say for people who are, really wanting to get started and make that break into being an entrepreneur. One of them is be careful who you share your dreams with. And what I mean by that is sometimes you have to work in the background and then let people just see it when it happens. Because in the beginning it's very easy, and you have to be a strong-minded person, because it's very easy, because you will get a lot of naysayers, you will get a lot of people saying it's not a good idea, or people saying things like, oh, why would you quit your job, or why this, why that. So sometimes you just do it and then just put it out there, and then people will see it once it's finally done. And then 2, I would say, if you're still working in corporate America and maybe your end goal is to leave and do entrepreneurship full time, or if you still want to just do half and half, that's cool. There's some people like that. But you have to realize that for your entrepreneurship goals, you have to work harder than you work at your 9 to 5. So that doesn't mean that you get home at 6 o'clock and you're tired and you say, oh, I'm gonna watch TV until 10 o'clock. No, that means you might have to stay up till midnight and then you get up at 5 the next day to go to your job. So, you just have to put the work in. So I would say that, and then just keep pushing. A lot of entrepreneurs, when you study their stories, even people like Stephen King, I think is amazing. I forgot the exact number, but he got rejected so many times by all these different publishers. I mean, and just look at him now. I mean, he's one of the biggest writers in the world. So just when you think it's time for you to give up, when you think you should give up, that's more than likely the point where you're just right at the edge of that breakthrough. So just, keep pushing.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for the tips, Carlos. Where can they reach you? Where can they find your books? Your website, everything. How can they find you?
Okay. All right. My website is poeticexpressions.com. I'll spell it out because it is a little bit of a weird spelling. It's part of my last name, so it's PEAUXETIC, and then expressions, all together as one word. All of my books are available there, as well as any of the books from my publishing company, Seven Sign Publishing. So all of those authors, their books are there as well. My books are also on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online. And for social media, you can follow me Facebook, Poetic Expressions, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat is all Poetic.
I love it. I love it. Carlos, thank you so much for coming out, man. I
Thanks,
appreciate it. We're going to have to do this again. I'm super excited about your speech and your presentation later on.
Thank you.
This has been Argustic Dunbar, Carlos Harleaux, Free Enterprise Friday. Till next time, sign it off.